Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back my good friend, Maddie Corman, who you may remember from such 80s classics as Some Kind of Wonderful and 7 Minutes in Heaven and so forth. And she's coming back on the podcast today to talk about the reaction from her one-woman show, Accidentally Brave, about her husband's it was a very bad situation, and I'm having her on the show today to talk about that and how people are reacting to the show and stuff. I wish I could see it. It looks amazing and stuff. And I think she's done with the show now. I think the run is over and stuff. If not, we'll find out, and you can find out where you can go and see it and stuff. And I want to ask her about a couple old, at least one old project and a couple upcoming projects as well. So here is my new interview with Maddie Corman. Hey, Maddie, welcome back.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. It's finally not 1,000 degrees here in New York, so I'm good.
Oh, we have that right now. Out here.
Well, you guys are usually have the best weather, so you're not allowed to complain too much.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining, but we do have pretty hot weather over here. It's like close to 90-ish right now.
Oof. Oof.
But
how are you doing?
Oh, I got a lot going on, but I'm getting through it and trying to stay positive.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So, are you completely done with the run with Accidentally Brave?
I'm completely done with this run of Accidentally Brave. I'm not completely done with performing the show. We're making plans to bring it to some other venues, hopefully California, in the next couple of months, and also doing it a couple of shorter runs at some rehab centers and other places like that. So, and I haven't actually told anybody this yet, but I'll tell you. We just closed a deal to record it for Audible, so I'll be doing kind of like not a book on tape. They have a new theater division, so they're doing plays on tape, and the end of August I'll be recording that, and so it'll be available for people who didn't get to see the show.
Oh, nice! That is so frigging awesome. I've wanted to see.
I'm excited.
I want to see the show so badly. I hope it plays in whatever area I'm in California at the time. That would be so awesome.
Me too. I'd love you to see it, and so and there's a couple other things brewing. So we are done with this particular production, but it's definitely not the end of Accidentally Brave. It's kind of just the beginning.
Yeah, and maybe PBS or somebody will show it. Like they do on the Great Performances show that they do like every Saturday night. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're talking to a couple people about that. So lots of stuff going on with that. But I am not performing 8 times a week, which is both a relief and a little bit of a letdown. There's always a little bit of a postpartum period, at least for me, when I finish any play. And certainly this one was especially exhausting, but also incredibly rewarding. So I'm in that little bit of post-show, what happens now? My body is like not even used to not doing that 8 times a week. So,
wow,
it's good.
Yeah. So how many performances did you do overall?
Oh gosh, over 100. I'd say, I don't know the exact number, but I know we celebrated 100 and then ran a couple more weeks, so probably about 120, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. It was, I've never done anything like that, holding the stage by myself for 90 minutes, 8 times a week. with something that I wrote and was about my own life. So, yeah, unlike anything I've ever done, and also in some ways a play, and a performance. So it was both personal and professional and spiritual, but technical. It was a lot of things. And doing the show, and I was really supported by an incredible team, even though it's a solo piece. I had a really, really great production team. And so doing the play became not gut-wrenchingly difficult, even though there were some gut-wrenching scenes in it. But going out into the lobby every night and just meeting people was almost like the second act. Plays in one act, but it was almost like the second act was coming out and meeting people. And every night, someone, either a stranger or even some friends of mine, would end up telling me stories. Because I think when you tell the truth, especially in theater, it kind of opens, well, actually in anywhere, I would say, when you tell the truth, people open up and tell you their truth. So it was an incredible but exhausting experience, both to the show and then to come out and meet people afterwards.
I can imagine. Yeah. How many performances was it before you got fully comfortable on stage?
Probably 119. Just it was a really small theater too. So just when I think I was comfortable and in it, I would come out some nights and there'd be someone I knew in the audience, or someone super famous and amazing in the audience, or like one of my grade school teachers in the audience. Just I didn't see who was in the entire house. And in fact, I'm still finding out people who saw the show. Just today I heard about some other people I hadn't known were there.
Yeah.
The first couple rows I could see. And so sometimes I'd feel comfortable and then something would happen. It was a lot of audience interaction too. I was very aware of that. So I don't know that I was ever fully comfortable, but there were some nights all throughout that just felt like something else took over. And that little bit of, actually, I would say most nights, I didn't have a night in all those nights where I felt really terrible. I really always felt like something interesting happened. And I didn't ever feel like, I never got bored, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I did get tired.
Yeah. Yeah, the last time we talked, it was the morning of, before you did like the opening night preview or something, and
God,
you were...
that was nice of me to talk to you. See how much I like you.
I appreciate that so much, Maddie. I really do. But like, you were so nervous. I mean, how did you handle it that night?
Oh gosh, I was really nervous, and I get really nervous. I did get less nervous, but I was very, very nervous the first few times, and I handled it both poorly and gracefully, depending on the moment. I have certain rituals I do. I have certain breathing. I pray. I run to the bathroom. I freak out. I have a really great director of this piece who has become a really dear friend, and she's a really spectacular human being and super talented. And there would be nights, because it's a really personal story too, where I just don't know if I can do it. I'm scared. I don't know if I don't know. And she'd say, oh, she wouldn't even acknowledge. She'd just kind of look at me with a big smile. She was very smiley and really a real smile, never a phony smile. And she'd just say, oh, but sweetheart, somebody needs to hear this story tonight. Just really simple, like go tell the story because somebody needs to hear it. And that really helped. It really did. And, fear and nervousness and excitement can really feel similar. So sometimes I try to say to myself, maybe this is excitement, because it was exciting and terrifying all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sound a lot more confident now than you did the last time.
Yeah, I mean, I really was like going out without a net. So certainly as I started to get the feedback, I'd only done this show out loud, I think in front of an audience 4 times ever before I started performing it at an actual off-Broadway run.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, and 2 of those times were tiny little readings. So I really didn't know how people would react, and I also didn't know that I could do it 8 times a week and feel all those feelings, so definitely I have more confidence now. However, when we start the next run of it, I'm sure I will be back to going, wait, I don't think I can do it. I don't know how to do this. Who am I to think I can do this? But I definitely got a lot of, great feedback. And you're supposed to, in this life, get everything from yourself and not rely on other people, and maybe have some kind of higher power that you commune with. But I'm not going to lie, it really helped to have the audience's response. Very, very early on was incredibly enthusiastic, and pretty much immediately I started to receive letters and emails and Instagram messages and Facebook messages and Twitter messages from people who had seen the show or who had heard an interview or read something. Some of the online stuff was not nice, but anyone who had seen the show, I really did not get anything but positive and almost beyond positive, just really grateful responses. People seemed to really be moved and entertained at the same time. So that was, I was hoping to be. I always wanted to do a good show. I really care about what I put out there, especially if I'm writing something. But I also was hoping to be of service with this piece. I was hoping to help people, and I think that I can say that I did, or at least other people have told me that I did. So I choose to believe that.
Yeah, when you were doing some talk shows and stuff, I read some pretty horrible comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they hadn't even seen it yet.
It was rough.
Yeah, they hadn't even seen it, No,
most people, and it was a good education for me, and I learned that most people on social media who respond to things either have not actually seen what they're talking about or read what they're talking about or met the person that they're talking about. And so that helps in a way to not take it as personally, but I'm not used to that, and it was really, it was and is really, really hard. And I try to not look at comments from people who I don't know. I care what people who I know and think, because I don't pretend to say that I don't care what anybody thinks. I do care what people think, but I try to focus on people who I love and who I respect, and who I think know and love me. So that's how I get through that. But that's not easy.
Yeah, no, it's not. But based on what I saw on Twitter, you got a lot of support from your acting peers.
I did. I think that artists really understand. Well, first of all, my actor and director and writer friends that came were impressed with the piece as a piece of writing and as a production. I mean, the production values really, it was really well produced. There was really beautiful music, and the projections were really well done. It was, it was an actual piece of theater. It wasn't just some lady standing up there and talking. We really made sure it was a beautiful actual production. But also, I think that artists, not exclusively artists, but artists tend to really understand process and believe that people and situations have nuance. And so a story like mine, where we're talking about something that some people would say, well, you just should never forgive your husband and you should just walk away. That's not how most artists live their lives. And so I think there was some appreciation for telling an uncomfortable story and taking that risk. But I got a lot of positive, beautiful feedback from non-actors as well. I just didn't put it on on my social media as much. But yeah, it was a very, it was on most nights. It really felt like a little community formed in the theater, and people came together. And people said that. People said they ended up holding hands with strangers and passing each other tissues and laughing together. So it was, I don't regret doing it. There were, there were nights, like maybe after I did The View, that I wondered why I was doing this. But for the most part, I really am glad that I did it.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, I noticed another guest of mine, Samantha Mathis, was one of your supporters.
Oh, I love Samantha. Yeah, she was great and is great. And she's doing a play now. So if you're in New York, go see her play at the Second Stage. She's a fantastic actress and a really great person. And, yeah, she was very supportive both online, promoting it, which is really kind, but also privately really reached out to me and was very, wrote me a beautiful note. So,
yeah, she's
I've
great.
known Samantha, we kind of, a lot of us have been around together for a very long time.
Yeah.
Pam Adlin came to the show right before it closed, and, I love her, but I haven't seen her in years. And you'll appreciate this story. She said to me that, we worked together. She was in Fort Fairlane.
Right.
And she told me that she auditioned for Zuzu Petals and was really pissed. But I got it, and I said, well, guess what? I got that part, but you got the career. You had a pretty good run of things. And I think her show is genius. I think Better Things is one of my favorite shows on television. And I think she was robbed of a bunch of Emmy nominations, but that's another story. But yeah, it was a good excuse for people. I saw people I hadn't seen in many years, both professional friends, but also people from high school showed up. I mean, it was a really, a cool thing to see how many people came out to see the show.
Yeah.
And some strangers who I'm, some people I hadn't met who I am a fan of showed up. So that was cool. Yeah, and Ben Stiller, it was great. We had some really amazing, wonderful people, and some of my favorite people are people whose names I don't even know their last names, but mostly women who flew from Oregon and Hawaii and Pennsylvania and Texas, who heard about the story and it resonated with them for one reason or another, whether it was almost their exact story or just something similar, or they had a friend, gosh, somebody from Canada. I mean, people really came out, and that made doing the press that was hard for me. It made it worthwhile because it got the word out about the show, and those people wouldn't have known to come, or that they were not the only ones going through tough times. So, that's why you do some of the press that's harder to do.
Yeah. So what did your husband think about it?
Well, he did come see the show. We had a deal that I said, I don't think you should see the show. He hadn't read it or anything. And I said, I think you should read it. And he said, I don't want to read it. And I said, well, maybe I should read it to you. And he said, no. He said, but I want to see it. I want to see what you've created. And I was like, well, okay, it's going to be hard. And he said, I know it's going to be hard, but nothing's harder than what we've actually been through. And I'm not unaware of what I've done and what I've done to you and the kids and the world. And he takes, real accountability for his behavior. Mm-hmm. And, but that doesn't mean it's fun to sit and watch it. So he said, I'm not going to tell you when I'm coming because I think it'll be really hard for you to do the show. And I said, absolutely, that's true. And I assumed that he would come after we opened. But one night during previews, I was getting ready for bed. He had actually taken my boys someplace. They were on spring break, so they were out later, out to dinner or something. And he came home, and I was getting ready for bed, and said, how did the shows go today? And I said, this and that. It was okay, but this. And he said, oh, and by the way, I was there this afternoon at the matinee. And I said, what? And it was really, I kind of went back in my mind like, oh God, how was the matinee? And how awful was I when I was yelling at his character, who's not actually on stage, but, I'm playing a lot of different characters. And and I said, well, how was it for you? Because, I love my husband, and I have compassion for how that must have been. It's not, people who haven't seen the show or don't know me and have just read about it go, oh, her husband did this thing and she forgave him and they're still together. And if you see the show, you see that that's far from the story. There's a lot that happens in between, and there's a lot of pain and anger and fury and hurt and screaming and crying and punching. And, it's not like, oh, and then they lived happily ever after. So I said, how was that for you to watch? Because it's also really about the early days of my husband's arrest and what happened in the ensuing months. And it's hilarious, believe it or not. There's actually funny, just because it's sometimes absurd when it's your own life, and things are happening that weren't supposed to happen. But anyway, he said it was really, really painful. Not because, he said, I'm aware every day, every hour of my actions, and I'm aware of the hurt and pain that I've caused. I don't ever forget it, but it's different to actually be sitting and hearing about it with a bunch of other people. And he said that about midway through, I was able to detach enough to say, oh, wow, my wife created a beautiful piece of art that's actually helping the world. And then he said, and also I have some notes. And I said, well, F you, I don't want your notes, but he's a really, that's what he's a director. So we went to bed, and, I think probably around midnight or 1, I woke him up and said, okay, what are your notes? So that's how he felt, and I'm sure it was complicated for him during the run, and also some people reached out to him. I think that at its best, what my play can do is show humanity. People aren't just the story you read in the newspaper. And there were some people who really loved my husband and who maybe hadn't reached out in a while and felt permission somehow to say, thinking of you, and we're here. And so I think that it was a complicated thing. I mean, you'd have to ask him, of course, exactly how he felt about it, but I think that overall he was proud of me and glad that something so horrible could potentially lead to some healing, not just of our family, but of other families.
That's beautiful. I just saw the trailer for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
I know. I'm not in it, but I swear I'm in the movie.
Yeah. And I'm
not in the trailer, but I saw it too. It looks great. I'm excited.
Yeah, I got chills. Tom Hanks was just so good in it. I mean, I knew he would be, but he...
Oh my gosh. When I walked into the trailer my first day, I was just there sitting. I wasn't actually filming, and he's sitting in the makeup chair in the sweater, and he turns around, and I'm like, okay, I'm meeting Tom Hanks and Mr. Rogers at the same time. My head almost exploded. And he said, Lady Aberlin, you're here. We've been waiting. And, what a mensch. What a kind way to greet the nervous actress from New York who's showing up. He is really... And he's so good. I mean, the scenes that I shot with him, I was just so impressed. I mean, I knew I would be, but he's incredible. And he's also really, really, really the nice guy that you want him to be, that you hope he'll be.
Yeah, I've never heard one bad thing about Tom Hanks, and he is my favorite actor of all time. I mean, bar none, favorite.
He did not disappoint. He did not disappoint as a human being. There's a lot of great actors who are maybe not so great in real life. He couldn't have been lovelier. and everybody felt that way. And I can't wait to see the movie. I spoke to the director, and the producer, and came to see the play, and they had just finished the edit and said the movie came out great. So I can't wait to see it.
Wow. It's funny. A couple of years ago, I tried to get Betty Aberlin on the podcast. She was like one of my earliest ones that I emailed, and she didn't want to talk about Fred Rogers anymore at that time and stuff. And it's funny part is I didn't even want to talk that much about Mr. Rogers. I wanted to talk about when she played a nun in the Kevin Smith movie Dogma, because I was shocked, going, "Oh my God, Lady Aberlin is in a movie with every dirty word in the book."
Yeah. I didn't get to actually meet her. A lot of the original cast members and crew members and Mrs. Rogers herself were there and around and meeting the actors playing them.
Mm-hmm.
But Betty was not, for reasons that I do not know, was not around and not interested. And really, I think probably the same reaction you got. She's not interested in going back to that time, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but I didn't get to actually meet her. But I certainly enjoyed watching the old episodes and getting familiar with her whole being. Yeah.
Well, you're much prettier than she is.
Oh, stop it! You're so sweet. No, I think she's beautiful, and man, I got to wear those dresses. Arjun, the costume designer, is brilliant, and he didn't just mimic the outfits everybody wore, but he was inspired by them, and they have that feeling, and oh my gosh. And then walking on to the land of make-believe, I did start to cry. I had to compose myself because it was so weird. It felt like a dream that I was standing next to the trolley. I mean, it was truly surreal. Because my scenes, it's not a biopic, the movie. It's a really interesting story, and it's really mostly about this man who's interviewing Mr. Rogers for an article I think it's in Esquire, and what that relationship does, and what how they change each other and affect each other. And but there are scenes that take place. He comes to the set, so we shot scenes we reenacted, the actual Mr. Rogers neighborhood show, and so they really rebuilt it, and we shot it in Pittsburgh. So we were shooting at the original site where the TV studio where they really shot the show. So, and there were some crew members that were there. I mean, it was really moving. It's really, really a special job. I feel very lucky.
Yeah, here's an anecdote a lot of people don't know. Betty Aberlin wanted to play Barbara in Night of the Living Dead, and
wow.
I think she auditioned for it, and Mr. Rogers thought that would get like
a little off-brand.
Yeah, a little off-brand, and like maybe cause a little controversy that he allowed her to do something like that, So she didn't get to do it, but then. Some guy who was like a crew member on Mr. Rogers, he ended up being in one of the sequels as a zombie years later.
Wow.
Because they were shooting the show, in Pennsylvania, and the movies were shot in Pennsylvania, so it was like, a funny, crossover there.
Yeah, it's a different world these days but I'm sure there's still, if you're on a Disney show, I don't know I don't know how many clauses people have in their contracts, but it was a special gig, and I hadn't really spent time in Pittsburgh. It's a really nice place.
Yeah.
City.
I want to go someday. I heard it's really expensive to fly out there.
I live in New York, so it's pretty breezy. It's an easy flight.
Yeah, it's easier for New Yorkers than it is for Californians.
Definitely.
And I also saw you did a TV movie for TNT with Elizabeth Shue called Constance.
Oh, That was a pilot, and I hope they released it as a TV movie because actually it was supposed to be a pilot for a TV series, and I guess the series did not get picked up. But God, it was really funny and really smart, and I have not actually seen it, but I'm going to reach out to the writer and the director because it was so well written, and Jesse Peretz directed it. One of my favorite directors, and I loved Elizabeth. She played kind of like a faded, like a beauty queen kind of, but who'd kind of given it up, and now her daughter was a beauty queen, and there's so much. It was a really, and then there's a mystery, and her husband disappears, and did he die or did he really die? It was really it was a great. I thought it was a great script, and I was really excited. So if they're saying on IMDb that it's a TV movie, maybe they will release it as a TV movie. But it was meant to be a pilot. So, but I had a good time with that one. I got to really get dressed up too. You know, I really do have a fun job, depending on who I'm playing. And then I think I'm on Younger tomorrow night. It's either tomorrow night or the following week. I have an episode of Younger that's airing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, wow,
I'm keeping busy.
That's cool. So there's a game that I like to play with guests, Maddie, and how this works is I ask you a silly question, you give me the answer, and then you ask me that same question and I answer.
Okay.
These are silly slumber party questions, the kind that I would ask to Zuzu Pedals.
Okay, do I have to be Zuzu Pedals or I can be myself? I don't know how to be Zuzu anymore. It's been so long. But she's in me. She lives in me.
Either way.
Take it away.
Maddie, are you ticklish?
Yes. Oh, now I have to say, are you ticklish?
Yes, I am just baby ticklish.
I have certain spots that certain people know, let's put it that way, and I don't like to be tickled. So maybe in my older age I'm a little less. I don't mind being tickled as much, but that sounds really inappropriate, so we'll go on to the next question.
What's your favorite part of the body?
Oh, my body or other people's? Any part of the body?
Any.
Eyes. What's your favorite part of the body?
I have always loved the belly button.
Nice.
Yes.
Important part.
Yes, it is. Do you ever contemplate your belly button?
I don't, but I contemplate my kids' belly buttons because I feel like that used to be attached to me, and that's just kind of incredible to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you have an innie or an outie?
A middly. It used to be an innie, and then I had 3 kids, and it kind of shifted a little bit. So now it's kind of in between.
Oh.
So do I have to ask you that question now?
I'll just tell you, I have an outie.
Okay, good to know.
What color are your toenails painted?
Oh, I just had a pedicure today, and they are kind of a plum. What color are your toenails painted?
I have just a clear coat, but back in April, I went to LA for a week, and Easter was coming, so they were blue-green, and they were really, really pretty.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you have different colors when you were doing the show?
Yes, I was barefoot in the show, so it was important that my feet were in semi-decent shape, but I also was busier than I've ever been, so it was hard to keep it up. But
of course.
I went in different shades of purple and lavender. That was kind of the theme color of the set and the show, so I tried to stay on that. And I never take off my toe ring. I have a toe ring that I've had for, 20-some years. So
oh, me too.
I've stayed on.
Yeah.
You? Which toe?
My second toe on my right foot.
Mine's second toe on the left.
Yes. Nice. Now here's my favorite question. Is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Ugh. Well, basically all of New York City in July is a giant petri dish of stinky smells that make me gag. On the subway, there's a lot of body odor going on. Yeah. so I'm gagging a lot these days. I'm not great with body stink.
Yeah.
How about you? What is your gag? This is going to make me gag just to listen to your answer. I'm scared. Yeah, hold the phone away.
I had a couple of years ago, as I was coming back from the hospital from a car accident, I had really bad athlete's foot. That was the worst.
Okay, see, now I want to throw up. I don't like, yeah, smells really get to me. That's not, I get the picture and the scent.
Yeah,
Okay, let's go to the next question.
I have two really funny jokes to wrap this up with.
Oh, okay, good.
Everybody knows the famous Mother Goose nursery rhyme. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many kids she didn't know what to do. What did her right leg say to her left leg?
I don't know.
Nothing. They never met.
Ha, 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 ha. Okay.
And do you know the difference between a blimp and 365 blowjobs?
No.
One is a good year. One is a very good year.
Nice. Good way to wrap it up.
Hey, dudes. Maddie, unfortunately, her phone died just as we were wrapping up. It's a crazy little weird thing that happened and stuff. She was not offended by that last joke. It just her phone died, and so unfortunately we couldn't say goodbye properly. So I'd like to say goodbye to Maddie right now once this is uploaded and she's listening, and I will keep an eye out for the California performances. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.